afternoon, everyone, and welcome to PBA at Noon. I'm Paul Benwell, and I'm joined by my colleague, Sophie Caesar. Today, we're happy to welcome Kenorland Minerals, which trades on the TSX Venture under the symbol KLD. Kenorland is a mineral exploration company that currently holds 3 projects where work is being completed under an earn-in agreement from third parties. The Frotet and Chicobee projects, which are located in Quebec, Canada, are optioned to Sumitomo Metal Mining Corp. And the Chespetoine project, also located in Quebec, who makes these names up, is optioned to Newmont Corporation. They recently announced impressive initial drill results from the recently completed 8,500 diamond drill program on the Frotet project. Here with us today is President and CEO Zach Flood. Zach, whenever you're ready, please go ahead, and we'll have some questions for you at the end.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot for hosting me, Paul and Sophie. I'm just going to try to share my screen here. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. So we're going to give you a high-level overview of the company and our activities, and kind of get into a little more detail on drill results from the Frotet project, which Paul mentioned there. For those of you who haven't heard of the company, we were private we started the company in 2016. We were private for about 4 years. So when the markets were tough, we executed on more of a project generator model, trying to find partners to fund the exploration that we were completing on our portfolio. Today, as the market shifts, we're leaning more towards sole funding a lot of our exploration. So this year we've got about 7 million of sole funded exploration planned and 10 million of partner funded. Kenorland is through and through a dedicated exploration company focused on earlier stage exploration and the discovery of new mineral deposits. Since the beginning, our approach has always been to really identify underexplored areas within proven mineral districts, acquire large land packages over those areas, and carry out large-scale systematic exploration. I'll kind of demonstrate how this approach panned out in northern Quebec there with the discovery of a new gold system that we're calling Renault, and touch on some of our other projects which have equally as good of discovery potential. Just a high-level overview of the share structure. So there's 45.5 million shares out basic, 55.5 fully diluted. As of January 1st, we had 9.5 million in the treasury. Today's working capital is around 9 million. We're bringing in about 1.2 million in revenue this year through management fees, which helps drastically offset our overheads. And that's part of operating a lot of these projects that are being funded by partners. In terms of ownership structure, so the company, as a result of growing this company kind of organically since 2016 and executing well on that project generation model, which really preserves your share structure, we have maintained tight ownership. Management and insiders own about 51%. Institutional ownership sits at around 11%, including CIDEX, FTQ, and STBJ, which are a few of the Quebec-based institutional funds. Close associates is around 15%. This includes some other notable financiers, including Paul Stevens, who's with Stevens Investment Management in San Francisco, and Peter Meredith, who is currently a director of Ivanhoe Mines and was a director of this company for since the inception in 2016. Now he remains as an advisor. And John Tognetti is the largest individual shareholder of the company. He's the chairman of Haywood Securities. Geographically, this is where our projects are located. So we've really focused on Eastern Canada and the Tintina Gold Province of Alaska. 3 flagship projects, which I'll discuss, are Tanacross, which is a 100% owned gold-rich porphyry copper system in Eastern Alaska. We have the Healy project up in Alaska as well, which is an orogenic gold system in the Goodpaster district, which is well known for the Pogo gold mine, which is about a 10 million ounce deposit up there. And then in Eastern Canada here, we have our other flagship project, Frotet, which is currently under joint venture with Sumitomo Metal Mining and I'll talk about that coming up here. And then we have a large portfolio of what we refer to as the pipeline projects. And these are all fairly greenfields exploration projects that cover, very large prospective tracts of land. In total, our portfolio is around 1 million acres, so over 400,000 hectares of mineral claims between all of these areas. And we like that to maintain that pipeline and explore it systematically, just like we did with Frotet that led to the discovery up there, and ideally make more of these discoveries. So this is zooming into Quebec here. So you have the Abitibi Greenstone Belt down here in the south, and then in the top of the page here is the Frotet Evans Greenstone Belt. And this is the project that we have under joint venture with Sumitomo Metal Mining, and where we've made a greenfields gold discovery last year and followed up on it this year, which we just announced some drill results from. And then in the Abitibi down here, we have a number of projects. Chibistawan is optioned to Newmont Corporation, and we're currently operating that. Last year, we completed a big regional till sampling program on it, and this year we're following up on that. Chikobi is optioned to Sumitomo as well. We spent about 2 years doing systematic geochemical sampling there also, and hopefully leading towards a inaugural diamond drill program in the near future, and then a couple of other 100% owned projects here as well. But I'll talk about Frotet to begin with. So this is a good example of our approach to exploration. So in 2017, we identified a greenstone belt in northern Quebec that did not have a lot of exploration done on it historically, especially no real systematic exploration. There was a large gold system in the belt already called Troilus. It's a past producer. I think with the current resources and reserves, the system has about a 7 million ounce endowment. So it's a very large gold system. We recognized that the belt obviously had potential for a large gold system due to that. It was wide open for staking in 2017 and hadn't seen a lot of systematic exploration. So we were able to acquire about 56,000 hectares of ground in 2017, and then we optioned it to Sumitomo in 2018, and we began till sampling. And over 2018 and 2019, we collected about 6,000 till samples. You can see down here in the bottom of the page, we identified a very large gold in till anomaly. There's this dispersion plume is about 5 kilometers long. The ice direction is going from the top right to the bottom left of the page. And so this was a really good indication that there was a gold system out there, but there was no mineral occurrences in that area or drilling previously. So we were quite excited about that. And then in March of 2020, we completed the first pass drill test on this target, and we ended up hitting 29 meters at 8.5 grams on that first drill program, and a lot of other hits over about a 2 kilometer footprint. So we're obviously thrilled about that. As a brand new greenfields discovery, there's no outcrop there at all. So really a bona fide discovery in that sense. And then we followed up in Q1 of this year, and now we've identified the structural controls of the gold system, which is extremely important. And the highlight from that drill program was 5.72 meters at 90 grams per ton. So the system has some serious potential for high grade. So here we are. I'm just going to get into a little bit more detail on the system here. What we see here is an outline of a diorite to tonalite, alkaline to subalkaline, intrusive complex, and it's about 5 kilometers long. Some of this is interpreted from magnetics, but we do have some good definition up here from drilling on the north end, and you can see the dispersion plume in the background. Again, this is about 5 kilometers from the bottom up to the top here of that. Our drilling is really focused up on the north end of the complex there. You can see in red, that east-west structure. That's the R1 trend that we defined and announced on that latest press release. The white colors there are what we've reported to date. The rest of the drilling from that drill program was really focused more regionally along trend here that you see in the green colors. Those will be reported soon enough. But Geologically, what we're looking at here is a large east-west shear zone that takes a big jog here to the northwest and kind of wraps around this intrusive complex. It was either probably placed in there due to some dilation in that major shear zone, and then continued to kind of rotate and crack, and that's why you get the vein formation. So pretty interesting in that sense. And you can see again where we focused our drilling up here in the north. However, we are doing a lot of regional exploration and testing new targets down along trend to the south. And again, just to reiterate that structure, which is really important because large gold systems usually sit on very large structures. And when you get jogs in the orientation and things happening that kind of disrupt that shear zone, that then you get the potential for kind of open space filling and veins and whatnot. So you can see in the magnetics here, this big east-west structure wrapping around the intrusive complex. And again, there's our R1 structure, which we've defined. It's about 550 meters in strike and still wide open to the east and west there. And then just zooming in even more detail here, we could see some of the highlights of drilling, and I've just kept on a few of these. But we put about 11 holes that have crossed the R1 structure to date over 2 programs. That initial program, again, I mentioned last year hit 29 meters at 8.5 grams. We scissored that hole this year and hit 5.72 meters at 90 grams. These are not true widths, by the way. Still do not have complete, there's not enough, really not enough drilling there to define what the true thickness is. And then there was a 250 meter step out to the west, which we hit 6.29 meters at, 25.33 meters at 6.29 grams per ton gold, and a few other hits out to the east. And that's really important. On this last drill program, we really started to understand which way the orientation of the vein is, and this is going to be really important for exploration going forward. Initially, we had oriented most of our drill holes in the northwest direction, which was not really optimal for that testing the east-west structures. But we thought that potentially the structures could be going to the northeast and potentially to the east-west. So we were kind of testing both ideas. But you know, that's how it goes in the early days of finding a new gold system there. And then down to the south, and I'd like to mention some of the peripheral hits around here too. We have about 500 meters to the north. We've hit 2.7 meters at almost 16 grams up here with no real follow-up on that. Down to the south, you know, over another kind of 700 meters or so to the south, we have another structure going east-west that we're going to be calling the R2 zone. And this has some really good hits on it as well, 3.75 meters at 16 grams that we hit last year, 4.93 meters at over 9.5 grams. So there's indication that there could be other east-west structures in here, and that's really important because if we begin to define kind of multiple vein sets, then you know the potential just increases from that. So still we're looking at over 2 kilometers kind of in this direction to the northeast and southwest of the overall footprint, and about 500 meters wide. And then hopefully along that we see these stacked sort of vein sets. So, and then just getting a little more granular in that, you can see the highlighted intercepts in red and pink here along that. So everything we've drilled through the R1 structure has hit notable gold mineralization. We've announced a follow-up program that's going to start in July. So the project's currently in joint venture with Sumitomo. They own 80%, Kenorland owns 20%, and we're co-funding our exploration. Kenorland is the operator of the joint venture, so we receive a 10% management fee for that of the overall budget. So we are contributing going forward here. The budget that we recently announced for follow-up is around $6.6 million total. And that will equate to around 20,000 meters of drilling starting in July. And about 10,000 meters are going to go directly into the R1 structure here. We'll have a barge out on the lake and a couple other drills on land. And we'll be hitting this kind of systematically, drilling the R1 on about 50 meter centers down to around 300 meters depth, and also extending it to the east and west. And the remainder of the meters, about the other 40 or 50% of that 20,000 meters, will be following up on hits like I mentioned to the north and south, as well as potentially some more regional exploration. And part of that budget will also go to broader regional exploration on the entire property, because we still have regional targets elsewhere, not even in the Renault area, that we're going to be following up on. Some of that's in the Troilus trend, some of that's elsewhere on the property, but we're going to hit the ground hard this summer. And I think what's really important is we're going to be putting a lot of meters into the R1 vein system here, and hopefully we'll get some more surprises like we have been. This is a long section of the R1. So again, just reiterating that, every drill hole that we put across this, which is really only a handful, have intersected notable gold mineralization. You could see this is where that 29 meters to 8.5 grams is there. And above that is the 5.72 meters at 90 grams. And then that large 250 meter step out over here, 25 meters at 6.3 grams per ton. Just to look at some rocks. So this is the three photos up here are photos of the boulders that were really kind of solidified the discovery in a sense. We had identified this large gold and till anomaly, and we sent in prospectors to look for boulders, because we figured, if the till is really anomalous in gold, there's probably going to be some boulders kicking around out there. And one of the first boulders we found came back running 408 grams per ton gold. You can see this other boulder, the vein plus wall rock, ran about 25.7 grams per ton. And then we do see this disseminated style of mineralization as well, running a few grams per ton in the volcanic wall rocks. So, these were all indications early on that we're looking at a potentially very high grade gold system, and then the drilling sort of backed that up also. So these are just some examples. You see the quartz vein and the diorite with coarse pyrite. This sample up there is 114 grams per ton. This one's 57 grams. And then down here from that latest release, so this was from RDD 037, which was that step out to the west. This sample ran 113 grams per ton. And you can see that foliation parallel quartz veining and mineralization. So it is very structurally controlled in that sense. And then this was RDD 024, which was that headline hole. And this sample ran 257 grams per ton gold, and there was a few flecks of VG in there as well. So really high grade gold system, which is obviously extremely exciting. Brand new discovery, and it's still early days. We've really only put 2 comprehensive drill programs into this. First program was about 7,800 meters. This one was just over 8,500 meters. So we're still very early days, but as we continue to kind of ramp up our exploration efforts, we'll see how it evolves. So that's it for Renault. And just to touch on 2 of our other flagship projects here, we are focused in Eastern Alaska on these 2 projects, especially this summer. We've just kind of started ramping up Healy, which is a project we optioned from Newmont in 2018. That's another newly identified gold system. So Newmont spent about 2 years doing regional stream sediment sampling across Eastern Alaska, identified a cluster of streams there that were anomalous in gold, followed up in 2012 and 2013 with systematic soil sampling, identified a couple large golden soil anomalies. And again, there was no mineral occurrences associated with that system, and there's no previous work filed on those claims. So again, we're looking at the same scenario of, you're in a district with a very large gold system. Pogo's a 10 million ounce endowment. A system that's been found over multiple years of systematic exploration, and this year we're putting the first diamond drill holes into it. So I'll touch on that. And then we got the Tanacross project, which is a gold-rich late Cretaceous porphyry system, the same exact age as Casino, 73 million years old, which I think is really important. Casino is a 3 billion ton porphyry copper system in the Yukon there, and it sits right on the same large regional fault structure called the Big Creek Fault System. And a little more detail on that. So what we're excited about here is the size of the alteration footprint at Taurus is extremely large. It covers around 12 kilometers east-west. There's 3 known porphyry centers: East Taurus, West Taurus, and Bluff. East Taurus has the best historical drilling, around 240 meters at over 0.5 copper equivalent. And it's got good gold credits there, 0.23 grams per ton gold. So it's a golden rich porphyry. These do tend to occur in clusters, and we're looking for other clusters outside, or other porphyry centers outside of that. And this is what we'll really be following up on this year. This is a property-wide ZTEM survey, which is a deep seeing EM system. And there's an anomaly here called South Taurus, a lot of hydrothermal alteration on the surface. It's never really had any exploration done on it. It sits right off to the south of 2 known porphyry centers. And the geophysical expression is very large. And you can see here Pebble at the same scale with the ZTEM there, forming this ring of conductivity around potentially another intrusive center there. So this is going to be the work program there. We're starting up here in the next couple of weeks. We'll be doing a big grid mapping and soil sampling program covering South Taurus, East Taurus, and West Taurus. And you can see the scale bar up there. It's about 4 kilometers across the South Taurus anomaly. And we'll be flying drone magnetics and then 2 lines of high-powered IP in the Titan IP system. And we'll bring in the drill there in August after Healy and put about 2,000 meters into this project. Some of that will be some step-out drilling in East Taurus, and some of that will be the first real test of South Taurus, just getting some holes into the bedrock, seeing what that system really represents. And then the Healy project, again, I mentioned this is an excellent discovery for a new opportunity in a district that has huge endowment, such as Pogo. It's an operating gold mine there owned by Northern Star, an Australian producer. So the Healy project covers about 18,470 hectares. These are the main gold anomalies to date, Thor, Bronc, and Spike, and they have very strong structural control. That's really what gets us excited about this project, as well as the structural geology. So you're looking at these low angle thrust faults cut by high angle shears. That's the same story at Pogo, same story at Niosi, which is in the Richardson, another multi-million ounce system. And so we see, a very large footprint, really good geology, and never had any diamond drill holes. So zooming into those anomalies here, this is what the program's going to look like, and that's starting up pretty much next week. And we're putting about 4,000 meters of diamond drilling into it, systematically testing all of these anomalous areas. And so again, that will be quite interesting. Just to reiterate, the footprint of this system is quite large. So here's the Healy golden soils on the left there. This is Coffee in the middle, which is a 3 million ounce system in the same terrain down in the Yukon, and Golden Saddle, which is a 1.6 million ounce deposit also in the Yukon in the same terrain. So it's comparable to, the footprint's comparable to a multi-million ounce system. It was found due to, multiple years of regional exploration, really systematic work that, and by doing that work, you're kind of, focusing on the highest priority target areas and ignoring a lot of the noise that you can get from other smaller occurrences. And this is what the year looks like. So, there's a lot going on, obviously. We just wrapped up this drill program here. That's what is being reported right now from Frotep. And now we're just about to start up this diamond drill program at Healy. Soon we'll be starting up that other large drill program at Renault, following up. That's going to be that 20,000 meter drill program there with Sumitomo in the joint venture. Healy starts up this week, basically. It's 4,000 meters of diamond drilling. And then at the same time we're starting Healy, we'll be doing that surface work in geophysics up at Tanacross, and then the smaller limited size drill program towards the end of the summer there. So we've got a lot in store. It's a lot to digest there, I'm sure, for everyone, but happy to answer questions.
So Zach, thanks so much. We do have a lot of questions. They're a little all over the place, but let's start off with Alaska. So there's a question here from Willie where he says, given the problems at the Pebble deposit, meaning Hunter Dickinson, what's different about your Alaskan projects?
That's a great question. I'll just go to a map of Alaska here. So where our projects are located are East Central Alaska. So you have the Alaska Highway coming up here through Tok, Delta Junction, Fairbanks. You have a couple really big operating gold mines. Fort Knox right up here by Fairbanks, owned by Kinross. Pogo, an operating gold mine owned by Northern Star. Where Donlin, where Pebble is and Donlin is out in the Kuskokwim, is a very different environment. It's pristine wilderness. There's obviously with Pebble, you're at the headwaters of the Bristol Bay salmon hatchery, so it's obviously very contentious. This area here, there's no salmon bearing streams and no real protected wildlife or anything like that. So we really don't see any issues in the foreseeable future if we were to find something in terms of development. And the First Nations up here, the Doyon own a lot of land privately. They've formed corporations as well. A lot of the First Nations groups up there. So the Doyon Corporation actually holds a lot of mineral tenure in this area as well. And they're very pro exploration. They sign joint venture agreements with other mineral exploration companies. They're also developing the Tetlin project with another company down there outside of Tok. So it's a very pro development region in Alaska.
Okay, great. And then so I have a comment here from Eric Lemieux. Great presentation, Zach. Now, he was asking about if you could speak on your relations with the local First Nations in Quebec.
Yep, that's another really important factor that we always look at and take great care of. We've been communicating with the Mistissini since we arrived up at Frotet, and those conversations are continual and ongoing. They're very aware of everything we do on the project. We try to work with them in terms of providing opportunities on site for locals as well. So very happy to be working with the Cree First Nations in Quebec and the Mistissini in particular.
Okay. And is work planned, and I'm also going to massacre this, the Cheb, yes, project, the JV with Newmont.
So we are just wrapping up our follow-up geochemical sampling program. So this is the project in the northern Abitibi. It's about 160,000 hectare land package covering a large deformation zone just west of Chibougamau-Chipé there. Work's progressing there. Last year, I mentioned we did a regional till sampling program, similar kind of orientation as the one that we started with up at Frotet. So that was the first pass, and then there were some areas that we identified for follow-up. So that's what we are just kind of wrapping up now, is completing those follow-up geochemical programs. And so we'll get results back, towards the end of the summer and go from there.
Okay, and I know you mentioned it a little bit, but if you could reiterate who the main players are in the area, how accessible is it, and what's the drilling season like from when to when?
So this is just where in Frotet in general?
Yes,
or?
yeah.
Okay. Troilus Gold is the other major player in the belt there. Troilus is developing, they've been building the resource really at the Troilus project there for a long time. They've also acquired a lot of other ground in the belt and have been completing, I think, a lot of regional exploration too. The drilling season is year round. Like I mentioned, we'll be on the lake on a barge there, drilling off of that starting in July, and then really a lot of our drilling is in the winter as well. We had a couple drills on the ice this winter targeting the Renault system as well. So ideally we'll be drilling year round.
Okay, perfect. And then one last question here on the Renault. Is there good potential for an R2 structure to the south?
Yes, there's great potential for an R2 structure, for the R2 structure. We really already named it R2, even though it's not on this map. We're waiting for a few other assays to come in from that. But as I mentioned last year, we hit 3.75 meters at 16 grams on that. We hit 4.93 meters at 9.59 grams. That was about a 250 meter step out there to the east. And I think we've tagged it out here as well, maybe skimmed it there, 6.91 meters at 1.98 grams per ton. And so this is all, I think this is all connected in what we're calling R2. Of course, you know, when you're just winging holes out there, kind of, obviously we're targeting things where we have a, you know, detailed IP survey. We've got really detailed magnetics as well. And we're trying our best to, you know, target various ideas initially. But now we start to see what the actual signature is of the system, and really the orientation was the most important part. So I think this should probably get better, because, you know, it's doubtful that the very first holes you put in are the best ones.
So a question regarding Healy, the ounces. I guess, sorry, the ounces. How many? I'm assuming they're asking how many ounces.
So Healy has no ounces right now. I mean, hopefully
Okay.
there's some ounces in the ground, but this is totally greenfield. So we have not put any, never been any diamond drilling into this project. There was some really shallow RC drilling. We drilled a total of 800 meters in 2019. That was really a scout reconnaissance style program. We had a small track mounted RC rig poking like 50 meter deep holes. One of those holes in the Bronx zone hit around 50 meters at just under 0.5 grams per ton. That was mineralized top to bottom to mineralization. There's about 150 meter wide corridor there of broad low grade gold mineralization, which indicated to us that there was a lot of gold rich fluids that moved through the rocks. And so since that program, we added a huge amount of detailed exploration data, including the infill soil sampling, detailed magnetics, ground BLF, IP, and really refine these drill targets for this first drill program, which is starting up any day now.
So these questions, they go into quite a few details here. So I'm just going to ask Terry Orslin if he would like to just ask you directly. Terry, if you want to come on, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Great.
Sorry, Zach, the question was actually Pogo running at 7 grams plus. That makes it quite a significant rich mine to go on. And the ounces you stated next to Pogo, I assume those are still to be mined, right?
Yeah, so Pogo, the latest numbers out of that, they produced about 4 million ounces of gold from that system. And there's another 4.6 million ounces measured and indicated and 3.5 million ounces inferred. So you're getting, you know, well above 10 million ounces there in terms of total endowment. And it's all been, that's a very high grade gold mine. It's an underground gold mine. It was actually previously operated by Sumitomo, who sold it to the Australian producer. And I know that they've been aggressively building ounces there as they've been producing.
Yeah. Then my question was, who's between you and Pogo in that claim map? Is it all Pogo North Star's claim all the way to you?
Yeah, so Northern Star is in the maroon here, and then you have Mill Rock, which is a project generator that's been up in Alaska for a long time there, and they're all in blue. They optioned that ground to an Australian junior called Resolution Minerals, I think a year or two ago. And so they've been testing some targets out in West Pogo and East Pogo. And then the only other junior in this belt is Tectonic Metals, and that's the ex-Kamenak crew. Tony Rita and Ira Thomas are involved in it, and Rob Carpenter. And they started that company a few years ago and optioned Tibbs, and now they have an agreement with the Doyon, expanding their land position to the north and south. So over the last few years, the exploration has really heated up in the Goodpaster district. It was pretty quiet there before, which is surprising considering that there's a world-class deposit sitting there. And so this was, of course, one of the reasons we went to Alaska was because there's a lot less exploration happening, and to me that's an opportunity.
Yeah. So the orientation of the claims going from east to west and north south, is that a follow of some sort of a surface exploration somewhere that people followed, or was any stratigraphy done? Any
No,
Any map done? Yeah, the way
good
it's,
eye.
yeah.
Good eye. I wish I had a geology map on here, but so the good pasture is really interesting. There's this large metamorphic basement dome, the Ogden Gneiss Dome, which is, high grade metamorphic rocks. And there's a big Cretaceous batholith which surrounds that metamorphic assemblage. And a lot of the gold occurrences happen to be associated with that regional contact. And so it's not a lineament, not like a straight structure like you see in the Abitibi. It really, I think there is something that's happening with that Cretaceous batholith, and a lot of these systems have been dated around the same time as that intrusive event. So that's what you're seeing there, is that contact wrapping around, and it even comes down here. And so that whole contact's now staked up, and Newmont was able to get control of the eastern portion of this, which covered a cluster of streams that were anomalous in gold. And again, there was no exploration done there prior to Newmont staking the ground. So it really is an opportunity for another greenfield discovery in this extremely prospective terrain.
So thank you, Terry. I'm going to ask one more question here. Have you had any majors approach you?
I mean, we have always had good relationships with a lot of the major mining companies in the industry. As I mentioned, when we started the company, our model was strictly more of a project generator, which we're not today. We're more of a hybrid. But due to that, we've managed to build some very strong relationships with industry leading companies. So, we communicate with them on different topics or on different bases, sometimes trying to, see if they're interested in optioning one of our projects that might not be flagship. Obviously working with Newmont, working with Sumitomo, and previously we were working with Freeport in Alaska on that porphyry copper project as well. So, I mean, we have them approach us wondering what we're doing in terms of our exploration, but it's as far as I can say.
Great. And Paul, you had a question or two?
Just a couple. When or how does Sumitomo end up with the property 100%? Or are you still going to retain part of that?
I mean, it's an 80-20 joint venture, so there's no option to acquire more than that. Right now, we are in a co-fund scenario, and we don't see that changing in the foreseeable future. We're just going to, hopefully advance this project together and see where it goes.
All right, and the deal that took place in January with Northway, like to bring you public as Kenorland, yeah. How clean was that takeover, like the reverse takeover? I mean,
yeah, so that was a related party. We had started Northway particularly to option, like for the sole purpose really of optioning this property, the Healy project that we're looking at here, from Newmont. At the time, when we started Northway in 2018, Kenorland was still a private company. We were still strictly a project generator. It was not our business model to be optioning ground from a major and raising capital to drill. So it was, outside of our scope. And so that's why we started Northway Resources. And because of that, Northway, the shareholder base was very similar to Kenorland. A lot of the same shareholders were involved. Kenorland was actually the founding corporation of Northway, so it held a number of founder shares as well. So when we did the transaction, it was really kind of just bringing, the same group of people that were holding two separate companies together into one company. So it was very clean in that sense.
All right, perfect. Are you fully permitted on all your projects?
Yep, Healy, we've got drill permits there, Tanacross drill permits, same with Frotet. So all of our drilling's fully permitted. The rest of the work we're doing is surface work, which doesn't require permits, but we're carrying out a lot of that early stage exploration on the Quebec projects, as well as, we staked a new property in Ontario in the Red Lake district as well. And that's all greenfields, kind of surface exploration, but yeah, fully permitted.
Okay. One last question. Do you own all the properties, and are there any royalties? Like
There are some royalties outstanding if we earn into Healy and dilute Newmont out. That's to say we've got an option up to earn up to 70%, and that's a 70-30 joint venture. There's a dilution royalty on that if we earn them out and we earn 100% with a full buy down on it. There's a small royalty on the porphyry copper project in Alaska. The rest of the projects, really, we've staked ourselves, and there's no royalties outstanding on those. Kenorland actually holds a number of royalties on other projects, which are not in this presentation, that we've vended to third parties for equity positions and royalties. So it'll be interesting to see how those move forward as well. But,
Perfect. Sophie, do you have any more questions in your?
I have one question. It's a bit of a long one. Is any work planned on the O'Sullivan project nearby where the Cartier is presently wedge drilling on their Ben West deposit, of the other project, of the pipeline projects, and your new Birch Uchi new land package to the east of Red Lake, Ontario? Your feeling for which may vault to another flagship status?
okay, so I think they're just asking, what are we doing on our?
Yeah, what's your focus? What's the next?
On the rest of our pipeline. So yeah, O'Sullivan is a very interesting project. Sits very close to Cartier's Benoit project there. Last year we completed property-wide, first pass till sampling on that. There's some planned follow-up on some of those anomalies that we generated from that project. That will probably happen in the fall. So definitely moving that forward. Hunter, we plan on flying a property-wide B10 survey. The target there is a gold-rich gold-rich VMS. It sits in a large felsic caldera complex off of a Sin volcanic pluton down there, just north of Du Parquet. So yeah, we're planning on moving that forward. And then South Uchi is the 70,000 hectare property we just staked and acquired in the southern Birch Uchi belt in the Confederation Lake assemblage, which is the same volcanic assemblage that Great Bear has been having a lot of success in. And we plan on, we're flying LiDAR there soon. We'll do a surficial study, design a surficial program, and then do that again, that first pass till sampling. So, there's a theme here. It's stake a lot of ground, hit it with systematic large scale geochemical programs, and then follow up and if we find anomalies from that and another gold system, then potentially it could turn into another flagship. But that's what we did up in the Frotet Evans belt, and hopefully we're going to repeat that on other properties in the portfolio.
Zach, a great story. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. We're going to follow you for the next little while, 4 months, 5 months, and make sure that people are up to speed. Good luck on your drilling program. It's very extensive, so you should be getting some good results coming from that vis-a-vis the past results. So again, thanks very much to everybody that joined in today, and we'll see everybody soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Sophie. Appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Okay, bye.